having some kind of Calendly or calendar access is always going to be amazing. As a recruiter, you want to pitch it in a way where it's in the best interest of the hiring manager, where basically you say, listen, I know you want to hire this person. I know that you want to interview all of these people. Once you give me the green light that you want to interview this person, I just need to know your availability. I don't want to do this whole back and forth. It's annoying for you. It's annoying for me. It's annoying for the candidate.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today we've got a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday like today for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. And occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. Now, as a reminder, if you like the content that we share here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, today's Tactical Tuesday. Who listening loves coordinating all the fun that is the back and forth emails or messages to find a time for a candidate and a hiring manager to chat? Yeah, I didn't think we'd have too many people raising their arms, even though I can't see you if you're listening to this podcast for that. But hey, there are different camps when it comes to this topic. Do you go based off of the hiring manager's calendar first? Do you go after the candidates? Do you do something else? So today we're going to go through all these, the pros, the cons, and everything in between to help you determine which approach may be best for you. And here to join us, as always, is your favorite Tactical Tuesday co-host, Vivien. Vivien, welcome.
Hi, Sam.
All right, interview availability. Why is coordinating calendars so easy yet so frustrating? Sometimes it's probably a polite way of putting it, but yeah, interview availability and doing it's like that's one of the things that that shouldn't hold up processes ever, but sometimes that is the part that takes the longest between I've got a candidate, they're a great match for this. Now I just have to do this little dance to figure out when this person can talk. And sometimes that pushes things out, like not just a couple hours or a couple days, but like it could be a week even at a time. So let's go through, I guess some of the traditional, like how do people go about this historically? And then we can start thinking through, again, like what are the pros, what are the cons, what else what is even out there that we might not have listed in this?
Yeah. So there's kind of like three main ones from what I've seen, and it's you ask the hiring manager for their availability. If it's just one hiring manager, that one's pretty easy. If it's a whole panel or multiple people need to be in that same meeting at the same time and it needs to be in office, but there's people that have remote days and all that fun stuff, this is where it gets really difficult. The other piece to that is that sometimes, and this is where like a little bit of like old school mentality comes in, reminds me a little bit of like dating. It's like, I don't want to be too available. I could technically interview. Everybody is available tomorrow for an interview and everybody's excited, but that's too available. We want to play hard to get, it's like, come on guys, you're ready for an interview. Let's just do this. And so that's a little bit piece to that hiring managers sometimes like to play, but so the first is always, what are the hiring manager's availability? And then that is what you send to the candidate. And then the candidate says, yes, I can do this one. And so the candidate picks that particular one. And especially if there's like multiple hiring managers involved, sometimes those multiple hiring managers don't have any overlap. So they can't even find the time amongst themselves. And then they have to figure out, can we just separate them? Can we do like back to back? So that whole thing turns into like a mess of spaghetti.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So that's kind of like number one. So the drawback of that is you have to wait sometimes half an eternity to get somebody's availability. And that just slows down the process unnecessarily. So that's option number one. Option number two is you can ask the candidate for their availability for the next 7 days or so. As you are submitting them, you can then say candidate is available for interviews later this week, early next week, something like that, for example, just so that when the hiring manager is excited about them, they can say, ooh, I also see their availability. I am available on that date and time. Let's just set something up now that we have that. And then you can keep things moving. Downside of that is you might sound a little bit too eager as a candidate or even recruiter. And so, again, depending on the hiring manager and their philosophy of do they want to play these hard to get type of games or not, depending on that, you can either get a good response or not. But ideally, you would tell hiring managers, I'm sending you candidates over. Make sure that everybody that needs to interview has blocked off their calendar so that we can actually get these interviews in. So yeah, that's number 2. Number 3 is just ask everybody at the same time. And then when you find an overlap, you just confirm the interview time for both parties and you call it a day.
Okay. So you kind of covered pros, cons of all of those. Oh man. The psychological side of this is so interesting. I've seen it work both ways where, like you said, sometimes like, oh, I don't want to be too available, is whether it's like the candidate or the hiring manager. But to be honest, one of the things that I've seen, whether that's being a part of personally in making hires or being a candidate somewhere, and just what makes other recruiters successful is I think that usually works better in the other way, because then if the candidate senses you're eager to talk to them, that creates them makes them even more excited to talk to you. This company's great. Like they want to move fast. Like, I don't know. I think, like you said, it's a little bit of the old school side of things. So depending on the type of company, I lean towards that second one more nowadays, just because that it captures that's the excitement, let's keep the momentum moving forward and everything else. But I know there's always other instances too, where it's like, if you're a big corporate company or you have to do your due diligence and get a number of candidates in the pipeline, sometimes it's you intentionally want to just get through all the screening, day 1 through day 10. So you're not even starting some of those calls until day 11. So if you talk to that person on day 1, it's like, I'm not pushing you off intentionally, but we just have to get more candidates in the pool. But you also don't want to tell them, be like, hey, just in case you don't work out, we also need to have other backups. So yeah, as we said, there's pros and cons to all of it.
Yeah. And I think something that goes back to it is, what is the candidate experience during the hiring process?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if any of you have scrolled LinkedIn recently, but candidates typically don't complain about, oh my gosh, this interview process went so fast. The hiring manager seemed excited.
Yeah.
Everything just happened so quickly. I've never had that fast of a hiring experience. Most of the time you see candidates complaining they don't hear back, the hiring process is too long, it takes forever to schedule interviews, and there's 50 million different rounds of interviews, assessments, panel interviews, projects, I don't know, Cirque du Soleil gymnastics, it just goes so crazy. If you can make the candidate experience quicker, you might win out against a competitor that is also wooing that particular candidate just because you moved quicker. And then recruiters, raise your hands. How many times have you missed out on placing a candidate because the company that was interviewing the candidate was moving too slowly and a competing offer swooped in and snatched them right out from under you?
Yep.
I don't hear crickets. So you want to move quickly. You want to make that kind of point to the hiring managers and say, I understand your goal is to interview 5, but what if the second one is the perfect candidate? Do you really care about the other 3? Sure, we can set those interviews up, but at least you then have made that decision. You have interviewed them. You can make an educated decision because you've evaluated all of your great options. And now you can make an offer and you can expedite that process because you've already interviewed them and you're ready to make an offer. You tell finance, you tell HR, all that fun stuff. Don't wait around. I don't that's not a thing anymore. People are looking for jobs, and the faster you can move, the better of an experience it's going to be, the more excited they're going to be to start working for you and with you. And everybody is happier. I mean, how many times are hiring managers saying the hiring process is taking too long? I need a candidate yesterday, but then they take their sweet time with setting up interviews. Give them a reality check, recruiters. It's okay to tell the hiring manager, hey, you came to me, you're paying me the big bucks to deliver quickly. I am delivering quickly. I need you to step your game up to match my speed. You want to make this higher every day. You told me this is costing you X amount of money. Do you want to wait X amount more days to lose Y amount of value? No, let's schedule them for tomorrow. Let's not play hard to get. This is not old school dating where you have to pay a dowry to the dad,
I want a goat.
I have camels.
Yeah, perfect. All right, deal. So the one thing that is so interesting to me is this is not a new problem. It has been solved in other fields. So in sales space, it's called speed to lead. You know, the longer that you wait to get in touch with that person who said like, hey, I'm interested in buying your product or service, the more of a higher likelihood there is that a competitor's going to swoop in, they're going to go shopping somewhere else, or you're just going to have a lower win rate as a result. So same exact concept, more or less. And so what has been solved for there is it's essentially like Calendly or something similar, where when you're an in-house recruiter, you have access to this. You have access to hiring manager's calendar. Usually if you're within the same organization, you can go to Microsoft Outlook, Google Calendar, whatever it is that you use, pull up their name, and you can see, okay, they're free from 1 to 2 on this day, 3 to 4 on this day. But when you're external, you don't usually have access to that. So what are your thoughts on, as a recruiter, like, to get ahead of that? If you say, hey, part of my process, one thing that we know works is if you book the next call on the current call, things move faster, they're excited, you can keep the momentum going. And so what I like to do is partner with you on, we create a custom Calendly for you. You can get it for free. You go and sync your Google Outlook, whatever calendar it is, to it, and I can go to that way, and I can see in real time when your availability is. And so what I do, I don't have to ping you back and forth that way, but I can be on the call with the candidate and say they're available next Friday at this time, the following Monday at this time. And I can place a hold on your calendar, and then I'll send you all the details and a proper follow-up from me personally that you need to know. But at least that way I can get that on the book. So this has worked phenomenally in sales, go-to-market, marketing. Like, do you think this should be adopted or something similar for recruiters?
Oh, for sure. And executive recruiters, they have solved for this by saying, week 4, I need you to block off your calendar, and I need to have those blocks.
Okay.
Other times when you have those weekly reoccurring meetings, you kind of know who is going to be interviewing whom and when, and you can put those proactive blocks on there. This turns into a little bit more of a problem whenever it's more of like a contingency type search, where it's you're sending the candidate over. There's that less of a white glove service.
Mm-hmm.
Having some kind of Calendly or calendar access is always going to be amazing. And as a recruiter, kind of what you already talked about, you want to pitch it in a way where it's in the best interest of the hiring manager, where basically you say, listen, I know you want to hire this person. I know that you want to interview all of these people. Once you give me the green light that you want to interview this person, I just need to know your availability. I don't want to do this whole back and forth. It's annoying for you. It's annoying for me. It's annoying for the candidate. Let's just set up a Calendly or whatever it is, just so that I can see what is your availability. And then I will, like you said, put the hold on there, do the official confirmation, the whole 9 yards. But this will make it a little bit easier. I think it's just, we're at a point as a society, even candidates and hiring managers and recruiters as well, where it's kind of like, where can we cut out this unnecessary stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And so something like a Calendly or some kind of like scheduling tool that the recruiter has access to, not the candidates, is going to be great. And honestly, that's the quickest and easiest way of doing it. And there really is no downside to it. Just obviously don't share it with the candidates directly. The only hesitancy that I could see hiring managers have is, oh, I don't want the recruiter to know I am available, especially if I'm not calling them back, blah, blah, blah. This is usually when something shady is going on. If they're really hiring somebody, if they are really paying you money or are intending to pay you money once a placement has been made, why are they holding back on this?
Mm-hmm.
It's a yellow flag. Keep an eye out for it. Maybe spend a little bit more time sourcing for another job.
Yeah. That's so true. And as you were saying that, another thing I was thinking, I was like, well, what if they schedule it a half hour from now? I'm not going to be ready. You can configure settings in these platforms so that you can say, like, you know, you might have your whole afternoon ahead of you, but you can say, don't allow any scheduled meetings within 3 hours of now, 4 hours of now. You can handle that too. So that way there's no pop-up surprises. You're not going to miss anything. But yeah, I think a lot of the concerns, either, like you said, they're either going to be flags that should have you questioning things otherwise, or you can get ahead of it. Like, it's tech configuration at the end of it. So I don't know. Like, hopefully this helps someone. That's my goal. This was something that I struggled with for so long as a marketer. Just be like, why isn't sales calling these leads? I'm like, now you have no reason not to. I'm getting it scheduled on your calendar for you. So
there you go.
Yeah, some good food for thought in this one. Any final parting thoughts with this?
I think that's about it. Just find a way to make getting this whole dance easier. And whenever you see that there's any kind of hiccup, see it as a potential flag and just raise it and just be like, hey, listen, You told me this was super urgent. I totally understand if you have an internal project that is like super busy. Just let me know. That way I can keep those candidates warm. But if I don't know what's going on, I can't partner with you. I can't make this happen. And just have some real conversations with them, communicate, and that's about it. And just always phrase it in a way of like, I genuinely want to help you. You said you wanted speed. I'm delivering speed. Something's happening on your end. What's going on here? And just talk to them. They're humans. They have problems, and you're there to help solve them. And that's about it.
Okay. I love it. Well, as always, appreciate your knowledge. Appreciate you sharing all this with us. And I think this honestly is one where I would say like this is one of those tactical tips that I think can drive a huge improvement in process if people adopt it. So share your stories if you do this, or if you found better ways. We also love to hear those. So don't be shy in letting us know. All right. Well, as we wrap, you all know the final spiel. This is a production of Loxo. If you like the episode but you're not sure where to go next, we do have a link to a similar one. You can find that in the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform, as well as on our website. Full video episodes are available on YouTube. If you ever have questions, send them our way, podcast@loxo.co. And lastly, if you did love this episode, please make sure you leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It takes you 3 seconds. It's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. That was another great Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Until next time, bye, y'all.